Hello, I'm Kristen Miller Zohn. I'm the curator of the 33rd September competition at the Alexandria Museum of Art. I had the opportunity to review about 450 submissions from which to pick 50 and then choose 3 top prize winners and 3 honorable mentions. And I'm speaking today with Beth Welch, who was one of the artists who was chosen to be represented in the exhibition. I actually chose 7 artists from whom I chose 2 works, and she was one of those artists, and she also won an honorable mention. So we're going to be speaking with her today about her work in general and look at the 2 works that are in the exhibition. Welcome, Beth.
Thank you. Hello.
So tell us a little bit about yourself and your work.
So I'm originally from Monroe, Louisiana, and I currently live in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, just outside of it in Geismar. And I work at the Louisiana Art and Science Museum here in town as the exhibitions coordinator. So we joke that I'm a professional picture hanger. So I am currently working on a series of drawings that are about my mom's journey with dementia and how I am raising my 2-year-old without having a mother to call upon, in a sense, to be able to ask all the nitty-gritty details of being a mother. And so this series really came about on reflecting on what a mother is, what all they do, and kind of how they're marginalized in a lot of ways and bringing attention to it. So I do drawings on layers of vellum, which is usually like an architectural drafting paper. So they're rather transparent. And I draw mothers in the background and children in the foreground. And a lot of my work deals with my mom's journey with dementia. As I said, she had a stroke in 2010. I was 16, and at that time, my mom and I were extremely close. And over the years, her mind has kind of disintegrated in a lot of ways. So once I became a mother, I discovered how much effort she put into raising me and my 4 siblings. So I started this series of drawings, and the mothers are drawn in charcoal and the children are drawn in pen and ink. And I do that purposefully because the charcoal is a little bit messy. And also moms, whenever they're getting ready to go somewhere or they're trying to pay attention to themselves, it can get quite messy in a sense. Whereas the children are drawn in pen and ink, which is quite painstaking, a lot like parenting. So you have to do quite a bit of detail work and put in a lot more time and effort. It's also very permanent in a sense, which is very important to me. I feel that everything that I do involving my child is like going to be a permanent memory. And it's just like making a mark on a page in a sense that can't quite be erased. So my materials come into a lot of my message. This particular piece that's on the screen right now, Do You Feel Forgotten? So my mother doesn't know who I am anymore. She thinks I am my sister Caroline. Caroline's 12 years older than I am. And so we think that mom's mind is maybe about 12 years behind. And I did this particular piece because I've been processing a lot of how to handle her thinking that I am someone else in a sense. So it's a really special piece to me. This is actually my mom circa 1980 and my sweet sister Caroline, and my son is about Caroline's age in this piece. My son's about 2 years old. So yeah, that's a little bit about it, about what I'm doing right now.
And are the images drawn, not only are they drawn in different media, but they're drawn on the different layers of the vellum as well?
Yes. Separate sheets.
And so I was really impressed when I was during the show about your technical ability at rendering anatomy and texture, and then also this incredible use of materials and taking advantage of everything that vellum has to offer in its opacity and you know, its semi-opacity and being those two layers and then the two different media as well. And then because the jurying is blind, basically, I don't know the artist names. I just know that they've given, that they might have submitted more than one thing because they have artist IDs, but not artist names. So I wasn't able to look your work up until after I had juried the whole show. And then I found out about this kind of memory loss aspect of it, and it just added even more to what I already was really impressed by with the work.
More layers.
So many layers. Figuratively and literally. This is the first piece that was juried into the show, What Do You Dream About? Can you tell us a little bit about this?
Of course. So this is actually a piece that I did that is my son and myself. This particular evening, he woke up, I think at like 4 a.m. because he was cutting teeth, and my husband actually snapped a picture of us, and I saw it and I said, oh, I have to draw this one. It's also kind of, to me, portrays kind of that exhaustion, and a lot of the times, especially working as a working mom, it's quite intense to lose so much sleep. So for 2 years, 3 years, however long, and then kind of be expected to still perform in an extreme way. And I am extremely type A, and so I always want to exceed all the expectations. And so this piece was kind of more about the marginalization and kind of my fears, as well as like, one day, if I lose my memory, what will my son remember, in a sense? And one of my favorite things about the vellum is kind of how there's this push and pull, and you really want to pull the layers back, in a sense. Like, I feel this intense need to take a look at what's underneath. But also it's kind of like sifting through your own memories, in a sense, because as you're trying to look back on how your mother or father parented you, it can kind of change. So you're trying to emulate these people, but at the same time, your memory of them might also be tainted in a way. So that's a little bit about that one.
And this one, there's even a little bit more, and I don't know if it's intentional or not, but the two figures are on sheets in a bed.
Mm-hmm.
The texture of the actual vellum itself is kind of
wrinkled
in a tiny bit and pooling a little bit like sheets do. So it actually adds a lot to the texture of this one as well. Really beautiful.
That's unintentional, but wonderful.
And then the piece that received an honorable mention was this one.
Yeah,
I particularly loved the addition of the pattern on her dress. It was just beautiful.
I loved that dress. So this is actually a found photo. I felt a little bit of nerves sharing my family story at the beginning of this series. So I used a lot of found photos to kind of be in the picture, but not be in the picture, in a sense, if that makes sense. But I'm getting a little bit more comfortable about talking about it and creating more work that's my own family. But this piece was a little bit of a stand-in, in a sense. And also, this in particular, I love this piece because I actually did a little bit of pen and ink on the towel where the mother is touching, because I found that it's very memorable when your mom scrubs your chin with a rag, and every mother and every child has experienced this, and everyone has had a bath on a sink. And so this piece just really, as soon as I saw this photo, I was like, I have to draw that piece. And it really, really spoke to me. But that dress, I was actually terrified to draw it, but I decided just on a whim to give it a shot, and it actually turned out really, really well. And I was so excited. I was jumping up and down in my studio. I had a very happy moment once it started to kind of come together. I said, I can do this. So this piece was really special for me, and also a great transition point. As I move forward, I've been adding a lot more of what I like to call those touch points. So those moments of memory where the mother and the child are connecting physically. And so I've started incorporating a little bit more detail in those areas where our mothers touch us, because sometimes we may not remember what they looked like, but we'll remember the texture of their dress or their shirt or how they smelled, all these other kind of important aspects that I think come into the memory of being a child with your mother.
Thank you so much for that explanation. It really
Of
adds
course.
a lot to the piece. But again, I loved them seeing them blind and not knowing the backstory. So
Yeah.
I was asked to jury the competition before COVID hit. And so the paring it down from 450 to 50 was always going to be online, but choosing the top 6 in person was going to be in person, and that was ixnayed because of the health concerns, and the whole exhibition was actually turned into a virtual exhibition. What's your
Mhm.
experience with this exhibition, not only as an artist who has your work in a virtual show, but maybe even as a museum professional?
So it's kind of interesting. As a museum professional, in a sense, I think it's kind of fun because you can go larger or smaller and get more details. So I think that the virtual show kind of adds this um, level of freedom for the juror. So I hope that you felt that, but in a sense, like you're not confined to, okay, our gallery space is only yay big, so we can't put anything, put X amount in. But so if you had all large works or all small works, it would stand alone online. So I think in a sense, it does add a little bit to it. I know that as the artist, it's really nice not having to ship things. I know that I'm not very far from Alexandria and I could actually drive things there, but it's very nice not having to ship things. So I'm actually in a couple of virtual shows since the pandemic hit. And I've actually been published recently in Create magazine. So one print issue and then a couple of virtual shows. I can look them up. Let's see. I've got my CV open. Let me see. There was one, the I Like Your Work podcast did a summer juried competition. That one's online. There's a Stay Home gallery in Nashville. There was one in Poughkeepsie, New York, Shown from Afar, Art During the Pandemic, Woman's Work Art. The 33rd, and then Textile, it's an exhibition from Gallery 114 in Portland. So there were several virtual shows that I was able to participate in, and I think it's really fun. And a lot of them have done these virtual discussions, and it's been neat meeting some of the artists. I actually met an artist who was in this show as well. Wendy Starnes, I believe is her last name. I'll have to double check. I'm really sorry, Wendy, if I'm misquoting your last name. But she was also in another show in Poughkeepsie with me, and we connected, and I said, oh, you're from Louisiana, so am I. And then lo and behold, we both got into the 33rd competition as well. So it was really fun being able to connect. So I think even virtually, it's kind of like going to a show. So I'm happy.
Well, we definitely have been able to reach many more people during this time with all of these virtual things. And this show is going to be up virtually on Alexandria's website through December 31st. So hopefully everybody has a chance to see it before it goes down. There's a publication as well too, so that will live on in libraries.
Yay.
And I know I've been speaking with a lot of artists this way that I might have had to only speak to over the phone in the last couple of years. And I've also seen more art history lectures in the last 3 months than I have in the last 3 years. So
it's lovely. I have too.
All of the terrible, all of the terrible aspects, there have been some good to come out of it. And I am happy to see your face, Beth. And
I'm happy to
be
see
able to
yours
speak
as well.
to you.
Yes.
Thank you so much, and congratulations for being in the show, for being an honorable mention.
Thank you so much for bestowing it. I feel so excited, and thank you so much. Really, truly.
My pleasure. Thanks, everybody, for joining us.